Right, so it's time now for Join Us Interactive. Aisha has joined me and we're in full swing, Aisha.
Of course, interesting issues coming up tonight because you know that to join this conversation, you know it's on facebook.com/Join News on TV and on Twitter it's on Join News on TV. Definitely, it's the best conversation around this time in Ghana. But the minority has boycotted the vetting of deputy ministerial nominees, explaining they have not been given enough time to do background checks on the appointees. All 10 minority members on the appointments committee did not turn up for today's vetting, claiming the majority is rushing the process. The question I ask, do you think the minority have a genuine concern, or you feel it's one of the political hide and seeks between the NPP and the NDC?
I wouldn't like to say that they are out of order, because as parliamentarians and then of course human beings, we do get tired or weary at some point in time. But you ought to know that a mandate is being thrown or delegated to you as a representative of Ghana's parliament. You are a representative of the entire populace or the population of Ghana. And so if you are prizing partisan interest, that is if only their boycotting was as a result of a partisan interest, then I think they didn't do well. But of course, there are certain ways or channels that you can pass through once you are weary to just vacate your premise as a member of the appointments committee. But if you should just boycott it, I think it's a disrespect and of course an insult to the head of the committee.
I believe this issue of boycotting appointment committee sittings and other sittings is becoming a mind-boggling issue. Because why is it always the minority? Well, the majority, they are also people. They came in with them and they were sitting with them. So why did they boycott? It could be that they are pursuing partisan interest. They are trying to sabotage the incumbent government or trying to do something that is inimical to the progress of the committee. So basically, it is of no point they boycotting a sitting as this.
Since they are part of the legislative organ, and then they also add up to lawmaking and policy making, and also bringing to board the people they think are fit for a particular job. I think they're boycotting it. They might have a reason, and their reason is that because they seem tired for them, and then they feel that maybe because we have been sitting for some time, and then we need a break in order to get ourselves organized again for the next sitting.
In as much as parliamentarians have their own rights to either stay in a sitting or boycott it, I think it's their legitimate right. But suffice it to say, we should know they are not in there for their own personal interest or their party interest. They are there to serve the people of their constituents. Some major policies that the president is passing, I think, will be beneficial to me. And you sit in there, and those people who are supposed to come and fast track the mandate, and you are just trying to, I don't know, I don't want to attack it from partisan issues, but
Interesting, diverse opinions over there. People think the minority is right. Others think they're just playing political gimmicks with the work of Parliament. But a lot of people are sending messages on Facebook, very interesting messages as well. Israel, take us through.
Kwesi Boateng says the minority can even decide not to return to Parliament again. Who cares? They are now talking about rush. They should reminisce and see some of the taxes and levies which were imposed on us with supersonic speed and alacrity. The minority should start buying pressure pills. But Tao says, yes, they, minority, may be right if only they follow the due course of boycotting an important business of a sort. However, we need them to be part of the process to make it as interesting as it should be. It's like mere conversation and boring minus them. Courage Livingston says it is long overdue for them to do a good job. They must be giving time to research on the nominees very well before vetting. But I think the government doesn't want it so. So to me, they should boycott the committee.
Hayford Inkamasari says, listening to Honorable Kujetu on your network, it appears there is a twist of what the minority agreed on with the majority side. In that sense, the minority may have a point, especially if their side feels the majority is breaching an arranged agreement. Notwithstanding, Ghanaian politicians are almost the same. If it is not in their favor, they're against it, and vice versa. Prince Nuruddin Maumia says, I describe the boycott of the vetting by the minority members as frivolous and an obvious prank mischief seeking to undermine the progress of the new administration led by His Excellency Nana Addo. Baye Jeremiah says the minority in the House has no point at all. We're lacking behind and should be ready to spend more days and hours at our various workplaces. We have no time to waste at all. And those are some messages on the minority. Also, let's talk about a 14-year-old girl who, together with her 12-year-old girlfriend, schooled a driving instructor on road regulations after he verbally attacked her for riding a horse on the road. The instructor, who has been on the job for 10 years, asked them to take their horses to the countryside. The kids, however, rather schooled him on the rules of the road and further asked him to go check Google if he wanted confirmation. Interesting, and I'm sure you're impressed, right? These are I know my rights kids. Well, I'm sure some of you may have found yourself in that awkward situation where you had to do the same. Tell me, have you ever had to educate a public official on their job?
Had an encounter with a policeman who clearly couldn't, exhibit that he had idea of what he's supposed to do as a policeman. When they stop a car, they want the driver to step out of the car and come and meet them where they are, especially at the barrier. So you see them that they are not ready to even, engage the driver on whatever error or mistake the driver may have done. But they want the driver to, regardless of where a passenger is going, regardless of the urgency of the time, they only ask the driver to step out and come. And then you realize that they will still be directing traffic without, addressing the issue on which they had stopped the car. So a couple of times I've asked the driver not to move out of the car because...
Yes, I've been in that position where I had to criticize an issue that came up concerning a woman who was occupying a public office and then was, disgraced, was insulted, was abused verbally, and then was alleged to have exchanged her position for sexual favors.
What step exactly? How did you handle it?
I decided to use the social media where I wrote an article and then I published it on my blog and then also on Facebook. And then it happened that one newspaper got in touch with it and then published it in their newspaper.
It happened when I was on my way to Legon campus and then around the Kungulu area, whereby this policeman had to stop us at some point in time during our travel. So I had to educate him that this parking that we are going to do is a wrong one actually. So I think he should do the right thing by letting us park at the right place, maybe a bus stop or something of that sort.
So how did he take it?
Some of them, they saw this as measures that they put in place, maybe to curb recalcitrant drivers on our route.
Israel, have you ever had any encounter? Let me use the police because definitely they're the ones who give us trouble.
Not the police. I don't try to do anything with the police because the police, you know how worrisome they can be. Kwesi Boateng says, in a part of the world, we are allergic to correction, especially correcting people in authority. That is where you hear, who are you to teach me my job? Even the general public will see you as too. Try to correct a policeman and you become the enemy for life. Anna Man says, a banker shouted at me and I told it is monopoly that is making him behave so. He later called me and apologized, but I told him his loud voice isn't scary. Pablo Minta says no, because I think none will be willing to even listen. Even some pensioners have to pay something small before the entitlements are given them. Baba Kamal says, please, we are interested in money, not what you are talking about, because these days, if you are found of doing that, Ghanaians will call you a pocket lawyer. So please, we want money. Sana Mohammed says, no, in Ghana, if you try doing that, you'll be humiliated and you will never forget it in your entire life. Prince Nuruddin says, interesting times ahead. I think the media can assist us to educate the public officials. Escalade, yeah boy. In Ghana, you want to educate an official, please use the police as an example, and I bet you if you live happily after, then you might have been the luckiest person.
Ismail Halil says, yes, so I educated a police officer not to take my 1 CD, and he was very furious that I was too known. And senior Orion Survey says, yes, I have. Hashtag Wallahi, the bruises sustained were evidence to never repeat again. Mr. Becham says, in Ghana, please don't try. You will get a slap for it or have a very bad day. Definitely. So I wouldn't even want to find myself in this situation. But finally, being jilted in a relationship can be a painful and traumatizing experience, especially when you're truly in love with the person. That seems to be the story of Believe Amejro, the police officer who used abusive words on the people of Wa in the Upper West region where she works. There are reports that she was jilted by her boyfriend, who is a native of Wa, which resulted in her action. Well, some of you have suggested that she should be punished for her comments, but with this fresh revelations, do you still think she should be punished for her comments, or you think she should be taken through counseling instead?
I believe she has to be punished because, first of all, she's serving in her capacity as a leader, and she's a person who is leading other people. She can be a role model to somebody as well. So in a situation where currently Ghanaians are urging their youth to take up leadership roles and to become responsible, I don't believe she acted responsibly. So in that case, she ought to undergo certain punishment in order to prevent future repercussions. She needs help, but she needs to be punished. Well, once you are punished, it serves as a deterrent to others, and they wouldn't want to follow. But if we are not strict and take up such measures to ensure that future occurrences are kept, we would have this act being perpetrated all the time.
I believe that she did that out of desperation or the trauma that perhaps she was subjected to. So I feel that, well, she might have said things that will cause mayhem or cause annoyance, but I don't see why she should be punished. If we have reasonable evidence that she was jilted, then it's better we sit her down and offer her counseling service. I think that will help her to understand and appreciate issues of such nature.
I would like to speak from two perspectives. We all have emotions, and I mean sometimes emotions overrule us, our thinking. But I would like to take it from the personality level. This is a policewoman we are talking about, and you know the measures and other things that go in, that are taken into place before we give out these portfolios. And as a policewoman, I expect that she's in a position to enforce law and order, and she should know that such a statement was quite unreasonable and uncouth. So I think we shouldn't let her go spared. Perhaps a lighter note of punishment would be suitable, because she's a policewoman. So despite how she's been emotionally down, I expect her to take some sort of control in terms of public ridicule.
She should be cancelled, because from an objective view, I think she has the right to express her opinion as to how she feels about the treatment or her own observation of the people in Wa, and she's entitled to that. So I don't think because she's a police officer she should be punished. So are we saying if she were to be an ordinary person insulting Wa people, she will be punished for insulting just because she's a police officer? So if it is because of her office, then she should be cancelled for it.
For the ethics, I know people knows about it, but you know, sometimes people are being carried away, so they do things and later on they sit back and they're like, no, I shouldn't have done this. So I think taking her through the orientation would be the best thing.
I'm learning new things.
Okay, I like to put this into some perspective.
Okay.
Now, this thing came up in the newsroom where the constitution, we had a conversation about this lady, Believe, who is said to have been jilted. It is said that typically you hear your mother or somebody in your family advise you and say, the people of this particular tribe, don't go near them. Don't go near them. Probably because somebody would have jilted her or not. You see, so that person who's giving you the advice lumps everybody else together. Okay. But here's the case. Now, this lady happened to have been jilted. That's what we're told.
Yes.
And then she essentially wants to go on that tangent.
Okay.
Except she goes onto Facebook to do that, to rant. And there's the people who are saying that heartbreak is a very painful thing to go through.
It is.
Some people decide to take their lives. Others decide that they're going to exact vengeance and kill somebody or do something. She decides to rant on Facebook.
So which one do you prefer? She didn't go on the suicide mission, and she didn't go on the revenge mission. Okay, this is a form of revenge, but this one is verbal revenge.
Right, yeah.
But it's unfortunate that people who were not there when the guy was saying "I love you" and all those nice things to you now are part of the insults. Yeah. That's the.
Kwesi Boateng on Facebook says her excuse is phony. She should just accept her wrongdoing and apologize and stop this defense. Why didn't she insult the president and later come tell us her man is disturbing her? And since all men are the same, that's the reason for her action. And Kashi will see her.
Samia.
Okay. Adora says, oh, I thought she said it was, she said it when she was in the right senses. But now that we know, I think we should pardon her. After all, she's a woman, and we all know them with their emotional tendencies. It was a premature ejaculation. Coblan Hogley says, there shouldn't be anything like the word jilting in any formal relationship. In an informal relationship, your girlfriend, boyfriend is yours only when he or she is by your side. Hey! How can you let a guy you share with others land you in this kind of hot pepper soup? Alex John says she has to undergo the disciplinary process, which I believe will entail some amount of counseling on self-control and professionalism. She made a really unfortunate move with such ethnocentric attack.
And Kwabna Minta says, I believe the rule of law must always come first. The police service has code of ethics. If by a reason or the other she has faulted, let the law take its course. But I still think that, yeah, she's a woman. Let's thank God she didn't go on the suicide mission. If this is what she would do to prevent suicide, then we want it like that. Let's